want to say thank you for hitting play on this episode of Politics Not Included. I have just one thing to ask of you as you listen to this conversation. The goal of this show is to start bringing the humanity back to politics. And in order to do that, I need you to listen to this person's perspective with an open mind. This season, we're going to hear from candidates on both sides of the party aisle, as well as independent candidates. And I'm hoping that through these conversations, you'll get to know the people behind the campaigns and get to know the people that will appear on your ballot in August and again in November. And if you have something that you feel like you want to say that you wouldn't say if you were sitting in this room with us, I'm going to ask you to keep it out of the comments. We're here to genuinely get to understand somebody's journey and perspective. In order to accomplish the goal of this podcast, we need to go into this with an open mind and avoid attacking one another. Now, let's get this show started, and I'm excited to introduce you to the person that you'll get to know a little bit better today. Just one note before we get started with today's episode. All candidates have been invited to appear as a guest on Politics Not Included. On today's episode of Politics Not Included, I'm joined by Charlotte O'Hara, who is one of the Republican candidates for governor in the 2026 election cycle. Charlotte O'Hara, welcome to Politics Not Included.
Thank you.
I'm excited to have you here and get to learn about your journey and experiences and what it's been like for you to run this campaign thus far. So to get us started, you're running a statewide campaign.
Yes.
What excites you most about running for office and traveling the state?
Okay, well, I have been in politics for a long time. I was the chair for the 3rd District for the Republican Party about 2008, and then I served in the Kansas State Legislature as a representative for the 27th District on the Republican side in 2011 and 2012. And then I also served as a Johnson County Commissioner from 2021 to 2025. So I've been in this for many, many years, and stepping up to a statewide campaign. Kansas is big.
Yes, it's a large state.
It's a lot of territory to cover. But I have a real advantage because I was raised on a farm, so I have a rural background. And traveling across the rest of Kansas, I mean, it's just like old home week because I actually went to high school in Uniontown, which is a very small town in Bourbon County. And so it's just, the small towns in Kansas, it's, I understand. Mm-hmm. I understand the rural lifestyle. And I tell people I learned equal opportunity leaning into the flank of an old black Holstein cow when I was 8 years old on a one-legged stool.
So you feel like you're right at home
when
you
absolutely.
Start to travel west.
Absolutely.
And you outlined your prior legislative experience really nicely. With that prior experience, how has that shaped your perspective on governing? And has that evolved over time because you've been local, state? How has that shifted for you?
I don't think it's really shifted. I'm very conservative. I believe that government is to serve people instead of special interest. And what I've seen over the years, and it seems to be even accelerating, is that we have a 2-tier tax system. We have a tax system for those well-connected and get all the tax incentives on property taxes, sales tax, income tax. You will be shocked. I was reading in a post-legislative audit that was released in 2023 that from 2017 to 2021, the state of Kansas gave out $3 billion in income tax credits. That's just one. Mm-hmm. That's just one. You go to the Commerce Department's website, and there's 101 programs to give money away to those well-connected. And the one issue right now that is front and center is the Chiefs Stadium and the Sports Authority. I don't know if you've had time to read that, but it's very, very problematic. And I tell people there's no equal protection under the law in the state of Kansas. We have one set of rules for those that get all of the tax incentives, and then there's the rules for the rest of us. And I always tell everyone, the reason that I am so well versed in all of these tax incentives is that in 2004, I used an IRB for 50,000 square foot addition on one of our warehouses and secured a 50% tax abatement for my metal fabricator tenant. And at the end of the 10 years, Olathe, it was in Olathe, Olathe said, okay, if you build a new facility to my tenant, we will give you another 10-year tax abatement. And that's really the one of the little stories on tax incentives is that at the end of the 10 years, then either the owner, that's the tenant, or a lease tenant, they don't want to pay those property taxes, so they move on. Well, then I was left with an overbuilt building, my fault, and ended up with a huge loss when I sold it. So, it's just the free market works. It works. But we have so skewed it in the state of Kansas that it's mind-boggling. In 2024, in Johnson County alone, just on industrial revenue bonds and tax increment finance districts, only on the property tax side, we diverted $108 million in Johnson County alone.
Yep. So you have experienced that personally, as well as with your different legislative experiences.
Right. When I went through the process, I went, oh my gosh, this just is really bad public policy. And then it just gets worse because the bigger you are, the more tax incentives. Panasonic received nearly $1 billion in tax incentives just from the state. And then from DeSoto, in the town that they're in, they received another $200 million in tax increment finance district. And how that works is that the corporation pays their property taxes. Then it goes right back to them to pay for horizontal construction costs, land acquisition, concrete work, sewers, all of that. Anything that is horizontal, they're reimbursed for those costs.
Mm-hmm. And is that part of the thing that, in bigger picture terms, you're running for governor? Why governor specifically?
Running for governor, we have to have some, I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because the Republicans and the Democrats have totally converged on this issue. There's no difference. I mean, you have Governor Kelly congratulating Ty Masterson for fast-tracking Apex, which was a legislation that gave the almost $1 billion to Panasonic. You have a Democrat governor congratulating the Republican Senate leader. No one is representing us. And it's getting worse and worse. And with the property tax burden, we can't do this. I mean, we all have to be in the same boat, because I'm going to tell you, if the big boys were in the same boat that we were on these property taxes, there would be a lot more of a push to have property tax relief rather than trying to find another way to give away our tax dollars.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned a little bit some of your previous experience with building buildings and the tax abatements. In doing research for the episode, I found that you currently, with your two sons, you run a small plastics manufacturing company in Olathe. How did you get involved into that as a family business with your sons?
Well, first of all, I thought I was going to be a farmer because I was the youngest of 4 kids. And my three brothers had left. And so I was like, okay, well, I'll just stay and take over the farm. So when I was a senior in high school, I'm telling, hey, Dad, ready to help take over the farm? And he goes, no. So, okay, off to college I went. I graduated from KU and had a degree in education. And just a few years later, I got into the general contracting business. I built homes. I was a general contractor for years. And so then actually I had got out of the construction industry before the 2008 meltdown. Praise God, because that was brutal.
Yeah.
That was really brutal. And actually, my son decided that he wanted to get into this plastics manufacturing, and actually it was casino chips. And so he did. I ended up getting into the business with him. And so my oldest son he manages the business, runs the business, and my youngest son is a salesperson. So,
So are you interacting with him almost on a daily basis?
oh,
or?
they don't want me in. I mean, they're running it.
Like, I've got this.
It's like, I stop over and I have lunch and we talk, but it's not that I have my nose in the day-to-day operations at all. I have two industrial buildings that I have 3 tenants, and that's another connection that I have, because as my property taxes increase, then I have to increase the lease rates, and I'm seeing the pressure that's putting on small businesses. This is unsustainable. We can't do this. I mean, in 2018, my 2 small buildings, I have a 10,000 square foot and a 15,000 square foot, they increased in the valuation 61%. 61 in 1 year. Of course, I appealed, and this is the lease rate that you're supposed to be getting. And I said, I don't get that much. I am not raising I've had these tenants forever, and said, well, give us your tax returns and da-da-da-da-da. So I did. And basically what the finding was, we can't help that you're a bad manager, because you should be getting a higher lease rate. So therefore, you have to pay property taxes as though you were receiving that higher lease rate.
So it sounds like a lot of the experiences that you felt are driving your campaign.
Yes. And I have 5 kids, 7 grandkids, 2 dogs and a horse. But I'm doing this. I'm at the end of my career. I've had success. I'm not wealthy by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm comfortable. But how long am I going to be comfortable if these property taxes continue to rise? And so I'm doing this for my kids and for my grandkids, and I have this optimism that government is supposed to work for the people. And in Kansas, it's not. And it's out of control.
Do you feel like, in terms of your career, you mentioned like you've had success in being close to retirement, those types of things. Do you feel like you've had to set anything aside in your career to run for governor and commit to the time commitment, or is it really just fitting in nicely into your lifestyle?
It's just fitting very nicely into, I have the time, I have the energy. And so, like I said, I'm an optimist that I need to be part of the conversation. There's so many issues. It's not just property taxes. I mean, it's the life issue. I'm very pro-life. It's the education issue. I homeschooled my 2 youngest, and our schools are in shambles. And what are we going to do about it? Well, number one, they've been federalized. Federalization of our education is not only a bad idea, it was never intended by our founding fathers. That was to be a state issue. And I'm a big believer in local control. When I was in the state legislature in 2011 and 2012, I begged my colleagues to cut the strings on the federal funds so that we could actually be free to form our own vision of education. And the cookie cutter idea that we should have the same thing across the United States has been an utter failure. Computers in the classrooms, oh my gosh, $30 billion for Chromebooks. And all that it's done is that the scores continue to fall. Why are we putting computers in our classroom when we know how addictive they are? It's in my opinion, very insane.
And running for office, it is a time commitment, and you said it fits in nicely. I'd love to hear a little bit about your family. You mentioned having kids and grandkids, and your dogs are here with us today, and a horse. So can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Well, okay, so again, I was raised on a farm, and I had 3 brothers. My oldest brother has passed away. My mom and dad are gone, and so I went off to college and became the general contractor. Being raised on a farm really gave me the skill set of being able to knit working and raising a family, because there were no boundaries on that. I mean, it was all together. Like my dad said, he never had to go to work. He just walked out the door and work found him. So that really gave me a skill set. And on the farm also, at least on our farm, is that everyone, whatever job needed to be done, if you were capable, you were expected to do it. And so being a general contractor was just no big deal at all. It's like, okay, I can do this. I can read blueprints. I can talk to the general contractors. I know how to manage a business. I watched my mom and dad manage a farm and be successful at it. So it's really, I tell people, I apprenticed on a farm for 18 years. And it's just, I've always knitted political activities and kids and, family life, and it just wasn't an issue. And even my youngest daughter is adopted. I wasn't looking for a 5th child, but she was 10 years old, and her brother, they both needed a home, and I didn't say yes right off. I said, when I found out about their situation through a family connection, I said, oh my gosh, somebody's got to do something about it. About a month later, I heard about it again. I go, oh my gosh, somebody's got to do something about it. 3rd time.
Yeah, 3rd time's a charm.
Oh my gosh, I have to do something about it. So, it's just, it's been an amazing journey. Unfortunately, I have suffered the tragedy of divorce, and so that's where I am at this point. But all my children live within 20 minutes of me. Maybe my one daughter, maybe 25 minutes. But I mean, they all live very close, and they're just part of my life.
So it sounds like, you've had a long career in dabbling in politics from time to time in different periods of your life. So your family must be used to it at some level.
Oh yeah, and they think I'm crazy.
But still,
Mom, why do you want to do? You don't need to do this. Why do you want to do this? And it's because I cannot tolerate watching other people being taken advantage of, and I know what's happening. So wouldn't it be irresponsible for me to just go, oh, well, they're just going to have to take care of themselves. People don't understand what is happening to them. And when I was in the House, I was known as the research person. And I was researching like crazy. And I'd make all of these copies and give them to everyone, 125, and at least 90% of it just went right into the trash can.
Like, that's all my hard work.
Nobody cared. Nobody cared. But I always, from the very beginning, I was not going to be told by leadership how to vote. Like, hello, I have a brain. I can see what we need to be doing, and I don't agree with you. A lot of the representatives in 2010, when they were running for office, was running on the platform of rolling the 1-cent sales tax back that Governor Sebelius had put into effect. And so I was in a meeting with several of the elected. They had not been sworn in, and I had not been sworn in yet either. And we were there with Lieutenant-elect Jeff Collier, and he said, "Hey, we can't roll that 1 cent sales tax back. We need that revenue stream." I looked at him. I said, "I will not participate in this conversation," and I left. It was like, how dare you? So then when we got into the House and that legislation came up, and it was obvious that there was not going to be any rollback of the 1 cent sales tax, oh, my colleagues, the ones that had run, "Oh, we're going to roll back the 1 cent sales tax," and go, "Oh, Charlotte, this is so difficult. What are we going to do? Leadership says we can't, da-da-da-da-da." And so it was very difficult for them to vote against what they had ran on, but they did. And by the third time that they did that, like, well, this is just the way we do business. And I just looked at them and I was astounded. How can you do that? But unfortunately, our legislators, they're one way in Topeka. And then when they come home to talk to you, why, they're an entirely different person. And you really have to get and dig in to look at their votes to know that. But who's going to do that? Who's going to do that?
It's very time consuming.
It's extremely time consuming.
Very confusing for somebody that's not.
Oh my gosh. Yes. Yes. It takes years to figure this out. And every day I'm learning something new.
Just a really quick interruption from the conversation that I hope you're enjoying. If you want to hear more of these conversations in the future, please consider hitting the follow or subscribe button in whatever platform you are listening or watching this episode. Just that one click of the button really helps us expand and grow the show. Thank you. And this is a great segue into my next question, because you're kind of known as somebody that speaks directly about your viewpoints. You just gave a great example of staying true to what you campaign on. And I found an article in the Kansas Reflector where you said, "I think typically politicians talk in platitudes and they don't really talk about specifics. They really want to make a comment as to what they believe so they can, they don't really, wow, okay, I'm going to read this again. They don't want to really make a comment as to what they believe so they can be like a chameleon. That's not the way I operate. I have a foundational philosophy." That's a very, like, you're sticking to your word. It sounds like you're very...
Oh, and I've gotten in so much trouble as far as the party leadership. Yeah, I've been the, I've been on the outs a lot, but that's okay. That's not my goal. My goal is to serve the people of Kansas. I mean, when I was on the county commission, I refused to wear a mask. I did wear a mask when I was sworn in because the judge would not come into the chambers unless I had the mask on. But that was the only time I wore a mask. I mean, I had the chairman of the board was very, very angry at me for not wearing. I said, "I'm sorry, I'm not sorry about it. I'm just not going to wear a mask." And I refused the COVID shot. Now, there were people that they thought that they needed it and they wanted it, and there were nursing homes and that were not getting the vaccine, and I did everything that I could to help them. But I'm not taking it. That's my choice. And so, no, I do not bend to the crowd. I have, like I said, I have a core philosophy that we should have a limited government, that our schools should have true local control, that our small towns, the only way that they're going to prosper is if they hang on to their uniqueness. Like Manhattan. You love Manhattan because it's unique, right? That's what every place has, its uniqueness, and they should hold on to that and really build on it. I mean, maybe there's a community that wants to really go into classical education. Wonderful. But how are they going to do that if they are saddled with Common Core and every Student Succeeds Act and all of the requirements of the federal government, who has no business in being in our schools, but they are. How can they do that?
Mm-hmm. Do you think that having an outright stance on things, and you're very upfront with it, do you think that that is a benefit in your campaign? And you've run several campaigns in the past, and that sounds like it's been your approach for your life. Yeah. So in specific to this running for governor, do you think that that's been beneficial, or
Yes.
do you think, okay.
I think that people finally are catching on that perhaps those people that they think are doing one thing, when they're in Topeka, they're doing something else. And I actually think that perhaps this sports stadium and sports authority, it may be a blessing in disguise. I pray that it doesn't pass, but I mean, it's already passed the House, and I think the vote was 79-41. So we are getting more legislators that are at least taking a look and saying, whoa, maybe we should think about this. But it's up for a vote in the Senate. It's going to the Commerce Committee in the Senate today. I don't think that they'll get it out on the floor. They have 60 bills above the line today. 60 bills. Now that's just forcing the senators to not have any time to have any meaningful debate. This is the leadership wants these votes, and they're just going to push it through, and that's not the way that we should be operating. So, but anyway, I think that perhaps this is a blessing, because it's really opened wide the door for people to look into the process, and lack of transparency, lack of seeing the documents. I mean, we're not allowed to see the documents until 2029 on the Chiefs deal. Well, now they pushed it back to 2030. I think that maybe people are going, this is very egregious. This is at least $7 billion of tax dollars that's going to be required to pay off these star bonds with all the interest. And that's just on the stadium and the practice fields and the executive offices. So perhaps this is a blessing that it's opened wide, the fact that there's special deals going on, and that the Democrats and the Republicans are absolutely walking hand in hand and supporting this.
If somebody's listening to this and they don't know who you are, and somebody asks the question of what kind of leader is Charlotte O'Hara, how would you answer that question?
I love to hear new ideas. I love to talk to people. I want to be talking to the real people and not just those in the upper echelons, because then you become cut off from what really is happening. I'm excited about the possibilities of Kansas, but unless we have a true change and really get the people involved and let them be empowered to make real differences at the local level, not just a selective few, but the entire community, it's going to be continue to be more and more taxes on you and me.
Mm-hmm. And you've kind of touched on some of your goals and aspirations and things that are driving you to run for governor. And this is kind of a follow-up to that same question. But what would you want the tone or culture of your administration to feel like? And how would you work, like as governor, you're then working with the entire Kansas legislation. How do you propose working together to get some of those things done? And what would you want the tone of your administration to be?
Okay, so the tone of my administration is that we have all of these grassroots Republicans that work really hard on the state Republican platform, and then it's put in a drawer and nobody ever looks at it. So what I want is that as a Republican governor to really adhere to the party platform, so the people understand where I'm coming from, and to, again, empower those grassroots people to be more impactful. And then the state legislators will start listening. And if there's someone, well, I'll tell you, when I was 3rd District Chair, what I did was that I had a monthly publication that I mailed out to all of the state, all of the state representatives in the Republican Party. And so, I'm not saying that right. It's the, so there's precinct committeemen, the state committee people. I mailed that out to them on a monthly basis. And there'd be a Republican that was totally off the reservation as far as supporting what the Republican platform is. So I would write an article about it. But I'd always give them an opportunity to rebut what I was saying, to say, well, this is why I voted the way I did. And so that's what, as a governor, if someone is just totally not supporting the Republican platform, I will have no problem going out and saying, this is what is happening. Now, I would be glad to understand why. If there's a good why, that's fine. Mm-hmm. But 99.9% of the time, there's not going to be a good why. It's just that they just aren't going to adhere to the party platform. Mm-hmm. And I think that it's important that the governor is out and speaking to the locals. I mean, I will be very, very, very active as far as traveling across the state of Kansas, not only while I'm running for governor, but serving as governor, talking to the people, letting them know what's going on, and empowering them to say, hey, maybe you need to contact the state legislator to let them know that you're not happy with what they're doing, because they're working for you. And if you're okay, that's fine, but at least be in the process, because right now they're not.
And so my next question I want to kind of tread lightly on, because the show is called Politics Not Included, and I know we've touched on some of the things that you believe in, and I don't want to dive into like deep specifics, but you mentioned like a little bit about the party and being a Republican. So I'm curious, from your standpoint, your opinion of what it means to be a Republican. Do you think, in the context of this, is I was kind of going through your blog posts. You have a lot of blogs. Like, you're a very active writer. There's a lot of things on there.
I am very open.
Yeah. So I was kind of reading through some of those, and you were talking about some of the conditions of participating in the Kansas GOP gubernatorial debate and supporting the primary winner if it's not you, and that was one of the stipulations. And you had kind of, in the article, said there are things that basically, to you, a Republican should be supporting. Do you think that all Republicans should have the same core values in order to be called a Republican? Or like...
Well, they can call themselves a Republican, but I will question whether if you're not adhering to the party platform. And in that contract, being a general contractor, you can always change stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And so I just crossed out that I would support the party nominee only if they were pro-life and pro-Second Amendment. I was the only candidate that did that. Mm-hmm. And in Winfield, all of the candidates that were there and all of the active gubernatorial candidates were in Winfield, and that was in October. They stated publicly that they would support the nominee with no stipulations. I was the only one that said, I can't support someone that's not pro-life and pro-Second Amendment. Those are, and yes, to be a Republican should mean that you want to reduce the size of government, that you want to get the control back to the local level. And that's been lost. It's really been lost. And in fact, when I bring up these visions of the local school districts having the responsibility of developing curriculum and et cetera, those people look at me like, how do we do that? They're so they're so crammed into the system. And even though it's failing our children over and over and over, they don't know how to get out. And it's like, oh my gosh, I homeschooled. I had no curriculum. I just made it up as I went. And I'm reading, writing, arithmetic, history, traveling. And to teach children, they are such sponges. They are such sponges. And it was with my daughter who came to my home when she was 10 and her brother was 12. She had no reading comprehension. She could read beautifully. She could decode words like crazy. But I had her read these novels that were written in the 1890s. Oh, fun. G.A. Henty. You need to look that up.
Okay.
G.A. Henty. Wonderful novelist, and wrote for boys, 10 to 16, adventure, but historically accurate. And she got through one of the books, and they were substantial books. And I went, Alexis, just tell me what the story's about. And she looked at me like a deer caught in the headlight. And I said, okay, well, we'll just start over. It's no big deal. We'll just start over and, we'll get this figured out. Oh my gosh. I mean, she got mad. Her brother got mad. And I had an underlying rule that if anyone got mad, we had to go out and run around the farm. We had a 40-acre farm at that time. We had to run around the farm until we found our endorphins and could get back composed, and then we go back and continue. And so we went out and did that, and came back in. And about 4 days later, continued our how we worked with reading. They would read 10 pages and tell me what they'd read, and read a few pages out loud to me. And so about 4 days later, Alexis came bounding into the room, and she goes, I've got it. I know what the story's about. I mean, those moments are just incredible. I used Waldorf education as kind of a model for my homeschooling. I don't know if you've ever heard of that or not.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
It's very an experiential type of learning, and it works really well. And you really incorporate art into everything that you're teaching. And it was wonderful. We had a wonderful time. And within 6 months, unfortunately, Taylor, my daughter's brother, decided not to stay with us. But an uncle did open his home to him, which, praise God. And he went to the Blue Valley School District. He had been flunking out in Grandview. He was on the honor roll in the Blue Valley School District. So it's amazing what 6 months of just TLC and every day working on these, just building your knowledge base, what it did.
Mm-hmm. Would you say your take on that, the Republican Party, is that really you staying true to your stances, or do you think that is like what the Republican Party should be? Like, is it you staying true to yourself?
That I'm staying true to myself.
Okay, yeah. So that seems to be a common theme. I just was curious, like how your experiences fit into what the party wants you to be, or how you navigate that.
Well, it's in our party platform, the Second Amendment and pro-life.
Yeah.
And it's there. Mm-hmm. So this is staying true to myself, but also it is stating that it is in the party platform. And then you have to explain, to me, why you don't want to adhere to the party platform. Now, people will say, well, what about economic development? Because there's some things in the party platform about economic development. And I'll go, it's wrong. It doesn't work. We've been trying this for 40 years. And the theory behind economic development is that you broaden the tax base, and then everyone's taxes go down. it's a false narrative. It doesn't work. And it doesn't work. So this is one statistic that's really interesting. In 1989, 47% of the property tax revenue coming in was from residential. It's now 70%. Oops. I mean, it's in black and white. You can't argue with that. Mm-hmm. So why are we still doing the same thing over and over? Well, the Democrats and the Republicans have decided that that's how they get elected, and that's what they're going to do. I don't agree with it.
Yeah, I mean, I respect this is my stance, and I'm sticking to it, and these are the things that I hold myself to, and I'm going to tell everybody that this is what I'm going to do. I think that's very respectable. Do you think that opens you up to a certain level of scrutiny I mean, social media is a huge thing now for running a campaign. Media is different. Do you feel like you've experienced people coming at you on any of those platforms, and you're very confident in your approach? Like, does it ever get to you? Does that happen to you?
Oh my gosh, I have people going, let's see, what is this one guy calling me? Oh, stupid SHIT.
Great, thanks.
Thank you very much. I mean, I have people, I send out mailers to fundraise, and I have people going, how dare you be pro-life and not protecting women's health care? And I'm going, I'm sorry, abortion is not health care. There's two people involved. But if they leave their address, if they have a return address, I write them back and I, thank you for expressing your opinion. This is wonderful. Now we have an opportunity to begin a conversation. Mm-hmm. I would much prefer to talk to someone that actually has an opinion than someone that's just like, well, whatever works at the moment. You can't have a real conversation with someone that doesn't have a true foundational belief.
Mm-hmm. And we're kind of getting towards the end of the questions here, and we're coming up. I mean, the filing deadline's not close, but it's approaching. And in order to officially file for governor, you have to have a lieutenant governor in the state of Kansas. How are you going about finding the right running mate for you?
I'm talking to a lot of my friends, and of course I know a lot of the people that are in the legislature, but I'm so passionate about the economic development and how giving all these tax incentives, and that we've created a two-tier system of taxation in the state of Kansas. I have to find someone that really, really understands that, because we have to do something different, because we are the high point on the prairie for taxes. And if we continue down this road of tax incentives, and and that road is just littered with failures. We have Sprint that's no longer there. We're re-incentivizing the Sprint campus in Johnson County. We've done it once, we're doing it again. And Boeing is now in Oklahoma. Cerner, there's the two ghost towers in Wyandotte County that they're 660,000 square feet, and I think that they just got a tenant in there for like 150,000 square feet. And they've been sitting empty for 2 or 3 years. We have a 480,000 square foot building sitting in New Century Air Center that was built by the county for North Supply, long gone. And it's been vacant since 2020, so 6 years. And it's costing the county $1.5 million just to mothball it. I mean, there's just, the list is unbelievably long as to the failures of these tax incentives. It just doesn't work. So I have to find someone that has a good mind for numbers and understands the importance of that. And also someone that understands that we have to do something about property taxes. And we just have so many giveaways on sales tax, on property tax, on income tax. I wrote yesterday, well, I guess that all of us just should be in a big star bond district, and we get to lease our property at an insanely low rate. We pay no property taxes and no income taxes, and we're in great shape. If it's good for the goose, it's good for the gander. So yeah, I mean, and this, you know, it's interesting, and I think there's going to be some consolidation of candidates, you know, as we go forward to the June filing deadline. So, you know, just working on it. It'll all work out.
Yeah, it'll all come together. You still have a few months.
Yeah.
And this is the last question I have before I jump into the last 3 questions that I'll ask every guest this season. But I like finishing with this question because running for office, one, not many people do. If you think about the big picture, it's something that you only experience like by sitting in your seat. You've done it several times at different levels. And I think oftentimes it's easy to look at somebody from the outside looking in and kind of make an opinion without ever having like put your name on the ballot. Is there anything that you think that people misunderstand about running for office and being in an elected position?
I think that the biggest misunderstanding is that far too many politicians, again, act one way in Topeka or Washington, D.C., and then when they're interacting with you at a local event, it's entirely different. So you really can't, you have to do your research. You have to see if they're really staying true, or if they want to negotiate to such an extent that they lose sight of their core values.
And then, so the first of the last 3 questions is, if this race were to end tomorrow, what would you be most proud of doing just by stepping into the race?
Educating people. You know, and also I'm a poet and musician. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not. That's a good fun fact.
Yes. I write poetry on a real regular basis. And I probably have, I don't know, 5 or 6 albums out on Spotify. You know, some of them are good, some of them aren't.
Yeah, I can tell you're very into writing based off of like how much you have a lot of written content and stuff. It seems like something that you're passionate about.
Yes, I do. I love writing poetry. I really do. And I know that seems like a real oxymoron almost for a politician to be a poet.
Yeah, I mean, it's a form of expression. People have different ways of going about that.
Yeah.
When people hear your name 5 years from now, what do you hope they associate it with?
That I stay true to what I'm saying. And that I am a devoted mother and grandmother. And I hope that my 21-year-old mare, Gabby, will still be around and that we can still be doing trail rides and along with my 2 little Aussies that I have out in the car.
Yeah. And then last question, why is voting important to you?
Oh.
And what would you say to the person that is not planning to vote in the primary election in August?
Okay. If you don't vote, you're giving your opportunity to have a voice in the process. You're giving it away. So it's so important. You are so important. And that's really why our government has gotten out of control, is because, number one, I think a lot of people have given up. That, oh, my voice just doesn't make any difference. And when that happens, then you have capitulated. You have to stay in the fight. You have to stay in the fight. And I really am here to work for you. I understand how so much of this works. I mean, I'm not an expert in everything, but I've had a lot of experience, and I know how to do the research, and I know how to keep my shoulder to the wheel. And I'm really excited about the opportunities. But yes, getting out, talking to people, educating them, letting them know how they can access information, that's the name of the game.
And one more follow-up. What would you say to somebody, I mean, I think sometimes you think the primary is, I'll just vote in November. Why is the primary important?
Oh my goodness. I mean, you have a wide range of candidates in this race, and you're going to have to look at each one of them. And do you want a career politician that's basically all that they've done, or do you want somebody that's had a wide range of experience that's going to really be focusing on you? You have to go out and look at the candidates. There's a wide range of people that's running. So it's up to the individual. It's up to you.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today. I really enjoyed having you on the show.
This is fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode. I really hope that you enjoyed and learned something from this conversation. Politics Not Included is hosted by the Transparent Campaign Initiative. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and if you did enjoy this show and want to see this organization continue to grow, we would really appreciate if you would consider making a donation or follow us on our social media pages. That support helps us grow as well. The links are in the show notes. Thank you.